boot camp to here and vice versa. So like our timeline is all fucked up. So like we're packing so much into like the letters, and we're saying things like that we've never said to each other, because like we would see each other every day. Like, why would you tell somebody so much? Or like your brother again, like, oh my God, I love you so much, I care about you so much, I love all of these things about you. In a perfect world, that'd be awesome, but if you're gonna see him like the next day, it just made me appreciate just life in general like a lot more, and stuff like this. Thank you. Last table.
Okay, so by doing this project, in what new ways did it help you connect with your brother more in depth?
He's never like really seen like my artistic talent as like a career path. He's always kind of viewed it. He's like a very conservative guy. I love my brother like to death, but like our political values and just like what we think you can make a living off of are like very different. I just feel like we got like a middle ground now, where like he can see that I am capable of doing something that can bring me money, and like people are reaching out to me like wanting my artwork after seeing like what I'm capable of, and it's kind of given him like, I'm never looking for validation. I say I'm not, I probably am, but I think just doing this and him seeing the process, he's kind of giving me like the validation like that I've always looked for growing up with like a mini me. So in that sense, I think we're just like more eye to eye, just in like what we're capable of, each of us. If that makes sense. Yeah.
So your presentation was really moving when you came out, and I know it's hard for you to talk about because you love your brother and it's a very close relationship. And it's emotional, it's tied up with your own identity because your brother is your twin.
Mm-hmm.
And then also your own sense of masculinity. You know, when you have a twin and you're looking at yourself all the time, you're constantly aware, I think, in some ways of the way that both of you have taken on being a men differently.
Yeah.
And that's obvious in the image, right? So on the one side, it's very, you know, your skin is lighter and you clearly see no sun and you have tattoos and the boxer shorts are longer. Then the other side looks more like a volleyball player or something, right? It's a different kind of vibe. The one thing that comes across though is because of the way that you use the pastels and the materials themselves is that it's very lovingly painted. And if you get a sense and feeling that there's real love and affection here, whether it's affection for the self, I don't know, because I don't know if it's you. I don't know if it's you and another man. I don't know if it's you and your brother. I don't know. It could be, you know, but it feels this sense of love and energy is there. Because you framed it so that we can't see your head, see the heads, where it's left sort of open-ended what the love is about, whether it's, you know, a love based on self-identity or perhaps a relationship, whether that's a brotherly love or a sort of gay attracted love, right? It's still this sort of commingling of spirits or energies. Is that okay with you? Do you think you're going to, keeping it anonymous, is that an intentional move so that people can look at it longer? Or is it, I mean, because it's something that you did, right? So let's talk about what it does is it allows me to imagine a lot of different identities, right? Looking at it by removing the head. Is that something that is important for you to preserve? And have you thought about that? I guess that's my first question.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but like throughout doing the piece, I did this side, and then like to me, somebody who's doing it, like it was so clear, like this is not my contour line, like on the right side, and everybody was like, oh, it's gonna be a pain in the ass doing like that left leg, because that's like the leg like that I have is all sleeved up. And like I said, like I love doing artwork that provokes. Like I want you to come to my show, look at my work, and it arises more questions than it answers. So I love that it was not a conscious decision to provoke more questions, but the fact that it does, I love. I think that's everything that I as an artist could hope for, is that you don't even know like what this is about. You just see it says comparison of pieces, and that's what it is. Yeah, this is my boyfriend, this is my brother, this is like a friend at school, it can be whatever you want.
So that's, I mean, I really like that that construct because it does leave it open-ended.
Yeah.
And I guess the second thing is it really deals with masculinity. It's head on.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a young man growing into their identity as a man? And I, wonder if masculinity and its energy is something that you've thought a lot about, because I know I've seen students explore themes like cowboys and talk about toxic masculinity, or angry faces and deal with the implications of that. But there are, I think, very few figurative painters making work right now dealing with how do you construct a positive masculinity.
Yeah.
And when you started out, you came out and you said, wow, I haven't cried in a while, this is really moving. And I thought to myself, that is a very different, your assembly, the way that you present yourself as a man is very different than a man 20 years ago would have presented himself with critique. And so are you aware of the construction of your masculine identity? And does having a twin play into that?
Oh yeah, he's like, I've always been like the slender, like tattooed art boy, and he was doing like construction, and then he was doing carpentry, and then he was like on a factory line. He like wears big work boots, he can grow a beard, like scraggly hair, like literally the spitting image of what you think a white man would be. Or like I guess that's, I want to say blue collar man. And I'm like very opposite. Like I don't really care how I come across. It's like I feel like I'm very respectful, and I don't like make a lot of enemies. Not that he has enemies, but he just rubs people like the wrong way. He's very like brute and like just like I'm very assertive like with my thoughts and feelings, and I'm more like I can see like the other side, which kind of feeds back into like our political affiliation in my eyes, and just like our like understanding of like how we perceive the world. Yeah, I like struggle with like 100%. I am like not a manly man, and I'm proud of it. My hands don't have calluses on them. I have finger or paint under like my nails from painting, but yeah, it's definitely something that I struggle with. I just don't talk about it, but I mean it's so clear. I think.
Yeah. Well, to steal a phrase from feminism, which is the personal is the political, which was first used by Caroline Hainish. You can tell that you're politically different in the image because they're very personal, they're real people, and in some ways it represents what everybody in this country is going through in their family.
Yeah.
At least in my family. I mean, I understand and I recognize that feeling of we're connected, we're the same, but we're not. And all of that is implied in just the dress and the tattoos, because it's really of today, of this time. So if you continue to with this series, I mean, I think it's a really interesting idea. Whether you use your brother as the subject or other, split sort of visions of what a man can be, conservative versus non-conservative, I think that it's very compelling because it's very much the time we live in. Yeah. So in terms of hitting historical context, I think you really hit it just by looking at the video that you made when your brother was in town and really examining that moment a little more closely. So you can find everything if you really examine and preserve a moment and think about it for a long time. So I'm really looking forward to reading your artist statement. I know it's going to be hard for you to write because it's personal, but I think you can do it. I think you're ready.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.